At first glance, it's an ordinary photo of Mars. Red dust, rocks, or maybe something extraordinary. But then researchers zoomed in on this frame and noticed an object that shouldn't have been there at all. The shape is too regular, the silhouette is too strange. Scientists quickly explained it as a feature of the terrain. But similar discoveries keep appearing on Mars again and again, and at some point we start to wonder, what if the red planet is hiding much more than just desert and rocks? What if someone lives there?
Have you ever wanted to take the opportunity to go to Mars as part of a colonization mission, to see with your own eyes the 26-kilometer-high Olympus Mons, or the monstrous Valles Marineris, which is 11 kilometers deep? And what would it be like to spend half a year in the grip of an impenetrable, planet-wide dust storm? If the prospects I've mentioned don't tempt you, then at least imagine what the metal bodies of the Mars rovers experience, having found themselves on the surface of our rusty neighbor by the will of fate and space agencies. Right now, Mars is being actively explored by 2 rovers, Curiosity and Perseverance. The rest are forever frozen in the dunes of the red planet, now nothing more than useless scrap metal. However, despite the active exploration of Mars, we still cannot definitively answer the question of whether there was ever life on it. Is it possible that there is life there even now? If so, what might it look like? To try to answer these questions, let's go over the unusual and unique discoveries made by the rovers we mentioned. What can they tell us? Hubble, subscribe. First, let's look at the features of the Martian landscape. Curiosity, by drilling into sedimentary rocks in Gale Crater in 2023, discovered a network of small cracks. This serves as direct evidence that the planet was once quite a wet place. The rock where these formations were found was named Ponters. Are there similar locations on Earth? Of course. You can find them anywhere because basically it's just regular clay mud that dried up over time. Especially often, terrain that looks like a patchwork quilt, meaning it's made up of cracked fragments, can be seen in the deserts of southern arid countries. What conclusions can be drawn based on the discovery? Absolutely logical ones. Where there is water, there can also be life. Also, images taken by the high-risk camera from the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter in 2024 indicate the presence of more widespread cracks and patterns in many locations on Mars. Scientists explain this by the behavior of ice located beneath the crust. Depending on the season, it expands or contracts, causing the soil to crack and break into fragments. But the hypotheses confirming cyclical climate changes on Mars are just the tip of a colossal iceberg. After the well-known Martian blueberries, many unique rocks and formations were discovered. What do you say about the fish skeleton discovered by Curiosity in Gale Crater? Isn't this yet another confirmation of Mars's wet past and the possible existence of at least primitive life? Let me clarify right away, don't be surprised by the gradual release of information in the media. You have to keep in mind that the photos and samples sent by the rovers are subject to gradual analysis. But as soon as scientists process the data, the public finds out about it immediately. Let's get back to the fish skeleton. What can be said about this artifact? While exploring the surface of Gale Crater, the rover sent back an amazing photo. It shows an extremely strange rock with sharp spikes that look a lot like fish bones. If you add to this the conclusions that many valleys on Mars are the beds of ancient rivers, and the deepest craters are the basins of dried up lakes, then the puzzle slowly starts to come together. How do astroarchaeologists classify the find? Experts unanimously say that no Mars rover has ever discovered a stranger artifact in the entire history of Mars exploration. It's impossible to rein in your imagination when looking at this stone. To some, it resembles a petrified fish. Some see spruce branches, and some claim that it's an artificial object. Maybe it's a dragon that Daenerys Stormborn didn't have time to raise? Let's move from fantasy to facts and continue to reveal the recent discoveries of the nimble Mars rovers. Are there any among them that indirectly point to the existence of past life once thriving on this planet? Organic molecules found in samples of clay deposits can be considered such evidence, the very ones that most likely formed in the presence of water. Among the organic compounds discovered by Curiosity, and by the way, Perseverance also found similar ones in Jezero crater, there are thiophenies, propane, and benzene. They contain carbon, which is the basis of life as we know it. But why don't scientists consider this discovery to be 100% proof that Mars was once alive? The thing is, organic matter doesn't always mean life. It can also form as a result of non-biological processes. However, this discovery proves that several billion years ago, the red planet had chemical conditions that were potentially suitable for the emergence of life. Which samples are scientists eagerly waiting to analyze? These are fragments of rock obtained by drilling the delta of an ancient river, discovered by the rover Perseverance in the Jezero crater. The device collected about 20 soil samples using a mini drill that penetrates only 6 centimeters deep into Mars. But these cores are priceless for science here on Earth. What kind of sensational discoveries do astroarchaeologists expect from these samples? There is an area in the Jezero crater called Chayava Falls. These samples were taken from there. Preliminary analysis of the rocks has revealed carbonates, sulfates, and other deposits, once again indicating a watery environment in which they formed. But most importantly, there are organic molecules. Perseverance is equipped with innovative instruments that have identified structures in the soil that strongly resemble traces of microbial life. This has not yet been confirmed biologically, and the samples have not been fully studied, so we are waiting for sensational results. However, they will only appear in a few years. Imagine that you are piloting a Mars rover. What sounds will accompany your mission? Something like these.
Yeah.
In my opinion, the robot's mechanical movements sound equally creepy both amid the howling wind and in dead silence. Maybe you like taking walks at night or going on overnight hikes. Then you'll really enjoy being a Mars rover driver, because under the Martian sky, you'll see the full variety of stars in this part of the universe. After all, nothing will interfere with my view. There won't be the constant light pollution that's present on Earth. However, we've gotten sidetracked by a romantic digression. Meanwhile, it's worth recalling what other discoveries made by the Mars rovers have been identified and classified as possible signs of life on the planet. First of all, it's worth mentioning the incidents that happened with the Curiosity rover in the summer of 2024. Once, while studying the Giddys Vallis Channel in Gale Crater, the rover ran over a rock which split apart. When it cracked open, there were bright yellow crystals of pure sulfur inside. Later, it became clear that the entire plateau was strewn with similar rocks. Why is this an amazing discovery for astronomers? Very specific conditions are required for the formation of pure sulfur, either volcanic vents or boiling springs. Considering the fact that the device still detects Marsquakes, the volcanic past of Mars was impressive. At that time, water most likely actively interacted with volcanic rocks, resulting in the creation of abundant bright sulfur deposits. What does this imply? Sulfur is a key trace element involved in the formation of amino acids, and they, in turn, are the basis of proteins, which make up carbon-based life. It's no wonder that in hydrothermal systems on Earth, significant microbial activity is often found. That is, thanks to the Perseverance rover, we have received yet another piece of evidence that Mars was not so lifeless in the past. All these discoveries were made earlier, but are there any relatively fresh samples found on the red planet that are planned to be studied on Earth? Yes, there are, and these are primarily coral stone and coral fungi.
Камень и кварцевые кристаллы.
First, about the former. Recently, Curiosity discovered a very strange structure on the surface of Gale Crater. If you mentally move from this desert location to Earth, you might think you're seeing a coral creature from the ocean floor. The stone has a diameter of about 2.5 centimeters, and it was formed around 1 billion years ago as a result of water evaporation of mineralized compounds. After that, bizarre crystallized structures remained. And what about quartz crystals? They were also recently found by the Perseverance rover in Jezero crater. In the area of the river delta of the ancient Martian body of water, the rover drilled and extracted cores in which quartz crystals were found. What is quartz? It's a mixture of silicon and oxygen on Earth, often found in hydrothermal systems or sedimentary rocks. So quartz crystals indicate processes related to water. Don't you think that there's too much evidence of Mars's watery past to ignore? Also, the quartz crystals in Jezero crater further confirm that there really was once a huge lake here, which has now turned into a rocky basin. But that's not all. Quartz on the red planet is not just a discovery. It is a time capsule, a keeper of possible traces of organics that existed on the surface of Mars billions of years ago. The evidence comes from discoveries in the deserts of Western Australia and the Atacama. Scientists have repeatedly found quartz there, containing traces of microbes about 3.5 billion years old. So what should we expect from Martian artifacts? When the cores arrive on Earth and are studied in laboratories, if microfossils are found in the quartz crystals, it will be the first indisputable evidence of past life on Mars. What about the other discoveries? They are also of great importance, since at the moment they are indirect evidence of the presence of a large number of bodies of water on the ancient Martian surface. Do you think we would leave you without a little bonus treat? Absolutely not. As mentioned earlier, decoding the data received from the Mars rovers happens gradually and extremely slowly. But after processing, the photos become publicly available and sometimes catch the eye of ordinary people, as well as ufologists and seekers of life on other planets. And on one of these images, something incredible was discovered, something that looks like an entrance to an underground room. Judge for yourself. Here is the photo. You have to agree, few people would interpret it any other way. Interestingly, the size ratio showed an identical match with Earth's parameters for similar structures. This entrance looks very similar to the ones tourists see in the Egyptian pyramids. So, does that mean it might have been built by flesh and blood beings? Scott Waring, a virtual archaeologist and ufologist, was the first to talk about this. He almost immediately announced to the world that an entrance to a tomb had been discovered on the pediment of Green Few. Of course, scientists immediately decided to dispel these hypotheses, reminding everyone of the story of the Martian Sphinx, which was actually the result of collective imagination, the play of light and shadow, and pareidolia, one of the visual illusions that causes people to mistakenly see certain images that don't really exist. If this isn't an artificial opening, then what could have created such a perfectly rectangular entrance? Astronomers explain this with natural processes. Tectonic cracks or erosive effects, such as the flows of long-dried rivers or Martian winds. There is logic in this assumption because the rocks where the supposed entrance was found are sedimentary, meaning they are easily destroyed. It could also very well be a so-called lava tube or volcanic cave, a natural underground formation. Are there any other reasons to refute the hypothesis that the object in the photo is of artificial origin? Yes, and that's the absence of any archaeological traces, since there is still no evidence of a civilization on Mars, either in the past or now. However, neither side has provided sufficiently strong or indisputable evidence to prove their point. So for now, any point of view can be questioned. We invite our viewers to share their theories in the comments. Is this really a doorway to a mysterious underground structure? If so, then which one exactly? Don't you think we're on the verge of a tremendous discovery on the scale of the solar system? Don't you have the feeling that we haven't been alone in the dark, inhospitable cosmos for a long time? So, where is the search for life headed this time? At the moment, the scientific community's attention is focused on Mars, specifically on the Jezero crater, where for the 4th year, the rover Perseverance has been working persistently and tirelessly, living up to its name. The rover's latest discoveries make us question whether we're alone, as well as the idea that oceans of liquid water beneath the crust of celestial bodies exist only on distant moons and planets. Perhaps these mysterious bodies of water are much closer than we think. Why was the impact crater on the border of Acetus Planitia and Syrtis Major specifically chosen for research? According to estimates by geologists and astrobiologists, there used to be a lake in this basin with a catchment area of about 17,000 square kilometers. The crater is about 2,700 meters deep at the center, and its diameter is around 49 kilometers. Therefore, in order to imagine what this incredible body of water looked like, you shouldn't let your imagination run wild, but rather, you should even restrain it a bit. One thing is clear, the scientists didn't make a mistake with the location, and Perseverance keeps proving it. The rover is equipped with numerous instruments that allow for thorough examination of the soil, as well as finding and selecting the necessary samples. The rover is equipped with spectrometers, a ground-penetrating radar, environmental dynamics analyzers, a camera with excellent image quality, and a high-tech scanner. What tasks have been assigned to the rover and its partner, the tiny helicopter Ingenuity? The main mission is to assess the habitability of Mars and search for biosignatures, as well as to conduct tests in preparation for a human landing on the red planet. And what has Perseverance discovered so far? First of all, it confirmed the assumption that Jezero crater is not just a deep impact pit, but a basin that is actually the floor of an ancient lake. This is indicated by traces of channels through which water once flowed, as well as remnants of sedimentary rocks found by the probe at this location. Most likely there was a giant lake here about 3.5 billion years ago, at the dawn of the celestial bodies formation. Who wants to argue with the statement that Mars is a planet where life once existed? In 2021, Perseverance stunned astronomers with a new discovery. It found organic molecules at the bottom of the crater where it is located. Of course, carbon-containing substances can also appear through non-biological processes. So such a discovery is not direct evidence of past life, but it does give us something to think about. Do you know what the rover has been most successful at? In collecting geological samples that densely cover the surface of the red planet. It's a real extraterrestrial museum exhibit that is of great interest to scientists. Which samples of the Martian lithosphere deserve closer attention? First of all, it's a rock called Hedgehog. The rover discovered it in the spring of 2021. Even in the photograph, you can see how strange this boulder looks. The structure of the find clearly indicates erosion processes that have affected the surface of the rock for a long time. The specimen is small, about 20 centimeters, and unlike any other rocks found in the crater areas the rover has explored, the surrounding rocks are smoother and more homogeneous, while the Hedgehog has clearly been subjected to long-term exposure, either to wind or water, at least in the places the rover has visited. The surrounding rocks are smoother and more homogeneous, and have been subjected to long-term exposure, either to wind or water. Some suggest it comes from sedimentary rocks left by long-term wind or water exposure. From the time when there was a huge body of water, the rover continues to study the structure and chemical composition of the rock with its standard instruments to find out if there are any traces of biosignatures in it. At the moment, Mars is a cold and dry, inhospitable desert. Could there really have ever been life on it? However, astrobiologists keep repeating that, by analogy with periods of climate change on Earth, such periods could also have occurred on Mars, and they could have lasted for a very long time. So think about it. If the warm Martian period lasted at least 100,000 years, then why shouldn't such an assumption be plausible? Knowledge. A thorough analysis of the soil and rocks will help to sort out this issue. What rocks on Mars, besides the hedgehog, amazed scientists? These are basalt rocks that were given the name Mas, which means Mars in the Navajo language. Astronomers are puzzling over whether this is evidence of volcanic activity or if these are basalts that were washed into a lake and have remained at its bottom for billions of years. The rock sample was examined in detail thanks to a special instrument built into the rover's camera. During the analysis, clay inclusions were discovered, which indicates direct contact of the rock with water and serves as further evidence that Perseverance is currently moving along the bottom of an ancient lake. Can you guess how far from the rover the robotic arm collected a sample almost immediately after landing on the red planet? At a distance of just 3 meters, and these were rocks called Prelezhny or Iga. Once again, the Navajo language was used. The study of the material raised the same question for scientists. What is the nature of this rock, volcanic or sedimentary? The appearance of the stones is rather plain, but there are small white inclusions visible on them, which makes the sample visually memorable. Do you know geography well? Where is St. Paul's Bay located? We'll tell you. It's a paradise spot on the island of Malta, where, according to legend, the Apostle Paul was shipwrecked. Why did we remember this location? The thing is, Perseverance discovered a unique rock on Mars, which was later named after this bay. A rock with this structure is unlikely to be found on Mars, especially in Jezero crater. This is what the artifact looks like. Doesn't it look like frog spawn, compressed by some unknown external forces? Small spheres, combined into a single structure, were clearly brought here from another Martian location. Perhaps the movement was aided by water flows, which is why the sample was named that way, because St. Paul's Bay is associated with buoyancy. This is a recent discovery, as the rock was found in March 2025. The rock was found near a hill with the intriguing name Witch Hazel. Some suggest the rock may have rolled from the top of this elevation to the crater's bottom. It's just a hypothesis. The hypothesis is also supported by orbital observations, which revealed a dark rock on the crest of the hill that resembles the one discovered. What else does this rock look like besides fish eggs? Astronomers immediately drew an analogy with the stone blueberries found by Opportunity. The spherical shape, resembling small berries or popcorn kernels, may well indicate that the rock formed in a watery environment. Overall, Witch Hazel Hill consists of many layers, showcasing different geological periods of Mars. A large amount of rock was ejected to the surface at this location, possibly as a result of meteorite impacts. Therefore, the 135-meter hill is an excellent testing ground for scientific research and a prime location for studying the lithospheric history of the planet. The sample called St. Paul Bay is being closely studied by the rover, although the lack of context complicates the process. Are there similar rocks on Earth? Yes, and it's a specific type of hematite. Botryoidal hematite forms on our planet when groundwater interacts with minerals. In particular, such spherules have been found in certain regions of Australia, specifically in sedimentary basins. This type of hematite is also abundantly present in Jurassic period sandstones located in the state of Utah, USA. However, let's return to Martian realities. If the nodular rock was formed in water, it is quite possible that traces of biosignatures will eventually be found on it. In July 2024, a stone with leopard spots was found in the bed of an ancient river located within the boundaries of Jezero crater. That's what NASA scientists called it. What is unusual about it besides the color gradations? As it turned out later, it has a unique geological structure that may indicate the presence of microbial life. The dark rings on the surface of the stone contain iron and phosphates, while the light spots are made up of sulfur. Why do astrogeologists consider them evidence of ancient Martian microbes? Because on Earth, structures with a similar composition are definitely associated with microbial activity. There is also calcium sulfate present in the texture of the rock. This indicates that water once actively flowed over the boulder. Among other things, the rock had a surprise in store for geologists. So-called building blocks of life were discovered in it, carbon-containing organic molecules. However, the presence of Capella calavina, a rock directly associated with high-temperature volcanic processes, somewhat cools the enthusiasm of scientists. After all, in that case, the biological origin of the leopard spots is ruled out. In general, there is plenty of work to be done in this area, but NASA specialists, based on 2 independent studies, have already rushed to announce that the stone with leopard spots is direct evidence of ancient life on Mars. What conclusions can be drawn based on the samples found? The red planet has a highly complex geology and a rich history, the countless mysteries of which astronomers have yet to unravel. The Jezero crater could become the site where evidence of past habitation is found for the first time, except on Mars. This is true at least because the crater seems to have deliberately gathered many types of rocks, whose origins are explained by completely opposite theories. Unless, of course, you factor in the presence of microbes, then the puzzle fits perfectly. Have you ever heard of an ocean beneath the Martian crust? No one has heard of it before? But thanks to the InSight lander, such information has recently appeared. This lander operated on the Martian surface from 2018 to 2022, but broke down during one of the Martian dust storms. However, it managed to transmit valuable information. By studying Marsquakes using wave methods, the device also discovered that beneath the surface of the red planet, there is a region through which waves pass with characteristics similar to those demonstrated by Earth's oceans. This layer is concentrated at a depth of 10 to 20 kilometers. What does this discovery indicate? It indicates that Mars is likely hiding giant reserves of water. This is a huge potential for further study of the geology of our closest neighbor. Such news makes you think. Even in the Mariana Trench at a depth of almost 11 kilometers, there is life and it is abundant. You can ask James Cameron about its existence, since he spent more than 3 hours at the bottom of the trench actively photographing its inhabitants. So, if the Martian ocean beneath the crust of the red planet were real, could life have originated there as well? Let's treat that question as rhetorical for now.
All the footage in this video is not an artistic reconstruction or computer graphics. You are looking at real photographs taken right on the surface of Mars by robotic explorers located tens of millions of kilometers away from Earth. These are real moments of an alien world, captured without sound, without wind in the microphone, without any human presence. So just make yourself comfortable, take a break from your daily routine, and allow yourself the rare feeling of observing another planet, as if you were standing on its surface. Every region of Mars where the rovers go gets its own name. Scientists and engineers on the missions choose these names. Sometimes they're named after places on Earth, sometimes after explorers, and sometimes inspired by cultures from different countries. Thus, a nameless desert gradually turns into a map filled with meaning. All the images in this video were taken by 3 legendary Mars rovers from different generations. Spirit, Opportunity, Curiosity. 3 machines, 3 eras of exploration, and thousands of days of work far from home. The cameras on board these vehicles were state-of-the-art for their time. Engineers designed them to withstand cold, dust, radiation, and years of solitude, so they could keep seeing even where humans cannot yet set foot. But there's an amazing fact. Not a single full high-quality video has been transmitted from the surface of Mars so far. The reason isn't the cameras, it's the distance. It takes a signal from 5 to 20 minutes to reach Earth, and the data transmission speed is extremely limited. For example, the Curiosity rover sends information at an average speed comparable to the old dial-up internet from the late 90s. Sometimes faster, but more often slower. When the orbit lines up favorably, communication goes through relay satellites in Mars orbit. During these short periods, the data flow increases sharply, but this only lasts for a few minutes each day. Every transmitted photograph literally costs time, energy, and tremendous effort from an entire team on Earth. That's why scientists choose what's most important. Not movement, but details. Not video, but images where you can see the structure of a rock the size of a grain of sand. To create a single ultra-high-resolution panorama, the rover takes dozens of individual shots, sometimes hundreds. Later, these images are stitched together into a single mosaic, slowly, precisely, almost with a jeweler's precision. This makes it possible to observe the Martian horizon as if you were bringing it closer with your own eyes. To date, the record for the number of images belongs to Curiosity. The count is already in the millions of photos sent over the years of work in Gale Crater. Each shot is another step toward understanding the planet's past. Before you is one of the largest panoramas of Mars ever created. Its resolution is measured in billions of pixels. This means that thousands of tiny details are hidden within a single image. Cracks in the rocks, traces of ancient streams, thin layers of sedimentary rocks. It is exactly these kinds of structures that indicate that billions of years ago there was liquid water on Mars. Rivers, lakes, possibly entire systems of bodies of water. And where there is water, the main question of humanity always arises. Could life have appeared there? Today, research continues. New robotic explorers are already operating on the surface of Mars. Curiosity is a veteran that is still moving and making discoveries. Perseverance is the most advanced Mars rover, searching for traces of ancient microbial life and collecting rock samples for future delivery to Earth. And the Chinese Zhurong, which became China's first successful rover on another planet. The history of exploration is being written right now, in real time, millions of kilometers away. But there were also those who completed their journey. Spirit got stuck in the soft Martian soil and eventually lost power. Opportunity lasted almost 15 Earth years of operation, dozens of times longer than the planned mission duration. Its final challenge was a global dust storm. The sky darkened, sunlight disappeared, and communication was lost. The last message received from it became one of the most touching moments in the history of space exploration. After that, the Mars rover fell silent forever. But even in silence, it left humanity with hundreds of thousands of images of another planet, and proof that perseverance can overcome even cosmic distances. Mars is gradually ceasing to be a distant point in the sky. It is becoming a place that we are beginning to understand, to map, to study step by step. And perhaps today's photographs will one day become the first pages of the story of future human missions. Thank you for being part of this journey. If you're interested in space, support this video. There are many more worlds and discoveries ahead, and many roads leading farther than we can imagine today.